Hi, my name is Nancy Zalek, and I'm the President and CEO of the Mankato Area Foundation, and I want to thank you for joining us for this webinar. As you know, those of you who know us know that we like to bring together trusted advisors, often 2 or 3 times a year, for educational events to learn about how you can work with your clientele to facilitate their philanthropy through working with the Mankato Area Foundation. And although we'd love to be in person, we don't have that opportunity right now, and so thank you for joining us in this webinar. Today, you're going to hear from real people, real individuals in this community talking about how they have chosen to work with the Mankato Area Foundation to facilitate their philanthropy. We know that at this time of year, it is often a real trigger for these conversations. And so you're going to hear from Sarah Richards as she talks about how her family transitioned their family foundation to a donor-advised fund, and I hope she'll share with you the advantages to that in working with the foundation. And then you're going to hear from Dave and Michelle Schoof, who have also chosen to donate land so that they can populate their donor-advised fund with a gift to, again, the foundation. And lastly, Chris Duncanson and her husband Pat work with us as they donate grain to populate their donor-advised fund. So there's a lot of different ways to work with the Mankato Area Foundation, and I think it's fun to see people that you know who have real experiences and who genuinely have an opportunity to talk to you about how it works to work with the Mankato Area Foundation. So thank you again. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you enjoy this series.
Hi, I'm Kristen Weeks Duncanson, and my husband Pat and I are the owners of Highland Family Farms in Mapleton, Minnesota. We're a diversified cropping operation where we grow corn, soybeans, rye, some small grains, and then have a presence in the hog industry. Part of our sustainability pledge or value system includes a component in giving back to community. We know that strong communities make for strong businesses and make for strong families, give opportunity to lots of people. Over time, we've done a lot of things that we thought were impactful and probably were to our communities, everything from popping popcorn at baseball games to writing checks to our church that we're passionate about. We decided, though, it was time to start a donor-advised fund through the Mankato Area Foundation because we really wanted to start establishing our legacy and the legacy of philanthropy for our kids.
Hi, I'm Dave Schoof, and I've had the pleasure to be part of the Mankato Area Foundation for about 20 years. Back in 2001, when I moved here, the foundation was one of the first organizations I was introduced to and got to participate with. And over that period of time, I've just watched it grow to a tremendous community asset, and I've been privileged to be a part of it both as a volunteer, board member, and now as a donor.
My name is Michelle Schoof, Dave Schoof's wife and sidekick. Obviously, I've been part of the foundation for as long as Dave has, and we've just had a tremendous experience working with the organization.
So for Michelle and I, our contributions have been a gamut of different things, just from being a general donor to a few years ago starting a couple different funds. One of the funds is the community fund that we started. At the time, we really didn't know what we were going to do with our money at the time for the donor advised fund. So we felt that it was something where we could start early as younger individuals in the community. And as time has gone on, we've now identified some projects that we felt were important for us.
When our grandmother set up the foundation, she was adamant that we invest in the communities in which we live, like they've always been able to do here. So when I lived in Cannon Falls, Minnesota, I invested in some programs that are quite similar to what we invested in Mankato. They're in Cannon Falls. We have a sibling who lives in Colorado, and she will invest there. And I think that's really important for anybody in any community, that you invest in the community in which you live.
So we have the Kristen and Pat Duncanson Family Fund at the foundation, and it allows us to be strategic and deliberate about our philanthropy. Because we raise grain, we oftentimes give grain to the foundation. It's great for us because it gives us a tax opportunity. It's great for the foundation. They can make a decision on when they want to sell it and have that cash on hand. Part of the reason we do that is that we're able then to hand over something that we have an abundance of. So for us, it's a slick way convenient way and deliberate way for us to be givers and to contribute.
Giving property is frankly pretty easy. You know, once you kind of figure out what that value is and you get an appraisal, you work with the foundation staff, and it's really a seamless process from giving that land away, but then also setting up that fund so when the land does sell, you're able to then convert that into that cash to give back to the organization that you wish.
Our family history really started with one side of the family, the Jones side, arriving in the local community areas in the 1850s, and then the Page side, which arrived in the 1860s. There were several different generations of entrepreneurs, culminating really with Cecil Jones, who created the manufacturing legacy here in Mankato. Our family history in philanthropy really started with their early arrival. They were really close to being pioneers in the area, and as pioneers, it was natural to be involved in building and developing the community. And so that's where it started, and a lot of involvement with their churches. It was important for them to participate in the development of the area, and they didn't really have a lot of money, I think, probably for several generations, but they were able to do things in kind. For example, our great-grandmother, Lulu Page, who started Page's Bakery in North Mankato, she did a lot to feed hungry people. But she concentrated a lot of her efforts too on just creating affordable meals for a lot of the local community people. As soon as the family was building a little bit of money and was able to contribute dollars, they did so as well. Mildred and Cecil were very proud of the fact that they could bring good paying jobs to many people in the local community. It was important for them to also be able to share their fortune that the community and these people helped them build back into the community, especially in programs that really invested in people. So that's really why they wanted to ultimately have a foundation.
We kind of make a habit of the first load of corn out of the field every fall goes to the foundation. That's just our habit. So we'll deliver that load of corn, which is approximately 1,000 bushels, to a local elevator, one that we're used to working with. Then we just notify the foundation and they take over selling it at that elevator. And the foundation works with the elevator because it really is their grain once we give it to the elevator in their name. Agricultural clients, like I said, want to be generous. They appreciate philanthropy. It's just putting a plan together for them that's a little different than a typical client. We have lots of opportunities to give and be philanthropic in our community, whether it's giving bushels to the FFA, which was a practice they did for years, where the FFA kids would pull in and you'd fill their wagon full of corn. This is similar, but you just are doing a little bit bigger scale. From a tax point of view, it's beneficial to us because we don't have to pay the income on the sale of that grain. In other words, if we sold the grain to the elevator, of course we get cash for it. It's part of our plan, part of how we run our business, but we don't have to pay the tax on it if we donate it. So we donate that first load of corn every year to the foundation, and then we will oftentimes too have a little contract that we fulfilled at the elevator. There may be extra grain in the bin, and we'll donate that to, just depending upon what the year is looking like.
We decided to transition our family foundation to the Mankato Area Foundation for a number of reasons. The most annoying reason was that we just had a lot of technical difficulties and felt like we were only a number with the firm that was managing us before. And that all went away when we joined the Mankato Area Foundation. We also really wanted to transition because if something happened to us, or as our family may ultimately someday move away from the local community, we wanted to make sure that our funds were managed by an entity that understood what we really wanted to see happen with these funds, and that they would carry that out long after we are gone.
I'm very fortunate to work for a company that helps match contributions to the Mankato Area Foundation, which I think is an advantage that a lot of people overlook. So I would encourage people to take a look at that. Over the years, that's been a tremendous advantage to us as we continue to add to our fund and look for projects that we want to impact in the community.
If you've never done this before, the couple of key steps. One, decide where you're going to sell the grain. Usually do it someplace that you're used to doing business at. Start a donor advised fund at the foundation by contacting the Mankato Area Foundation. They'll help you set that up. And then deliver the grain, tell them that it's going to the foundation, and from there the foundation takes over working with the elevator for the sale of that commodity.
The Mankato Area Foundation has really been the cornerstone of an exciting project that Dave and I have been working on with the community with a number of different entities. Being MSU alumni, that's an exciting piece for us and part of the project. The City of Mankato, Twin Rivers Arts, very exciting coming down the pipe here in a few months. And the foundation has really made this an easy process for us, and without the foundation, I really don't think it would be possible to pull all these groups together to make it happen. So I'm really excited. We're excited to work with everybody on this and to make an impact on the community that will be revealed in a few months.
So with the Community Response Fund, once organizations figured out what their immediate needs were, for example, the backpack food program, since kids weren't in school, they were able to use the funding to then deliver food to kids that needed it the most at a very critical time since school was not in session anymore.
The most enjoyable thing for our family in charitable giving is being able to invest in projects that really focus on people and the development of people in our communities, and to be able to watch those funds help with those programs and see people come to life and see the joy in people's eyes or special projects that we are able to help develop. It means everything to us.
It's good to sit down with those farm families and find out what they're passionate about. What are the things that they want to make sure that they give to and be deliberate about. We get asked a lot because we usually live in small towns that have a lot of different opportunities to give. For Pat and I, it was really helpful to sit down with our family and with our advisor and say, you know, what are we passionate about? We still are very connected to the land, the environment, food, where we went to college, our churches, some of the local things that are important to us. And it's very helpful to be strategic and deliberate. So sit down, advisors, sit down with your ag clients and really find out what's important to them.
In 2013, my father passed away, and we thought a great way to honor him would be to start a scholarship fund in his name. And the first choice to manage that fund was the Mankato Area Foundation. And I have to say, we've had a tremendous experience in doing that. I go back to my high school every year and give out the scholarship, and we are now giving out multiple scholarships each year. The Mankato Area Foundation makes it so easy. They help with the application process, they release the funding to the students, and are such a great partner with us along the way and have made the process so rewarding to work with.
There's two projects that really tug at me, at least, as far as our foundation goes in terms of favorite. I love the Children's Museum and everything it does to help children learn through discovery. But I also really love the new welding lab that's called the Jones Metal Welding Lab at South Central College, because it really represents what we try and do as a company as well, by helping people develop new skills and helping provide a greater pool of manufacturers to the Mankato area. So I'm a little torn there, but I love both of those projects.
So I encourage farmers to really think about giving grain as part of their philanthropy, as part of their generosity. Farmers are by nature generous people, and having the opportunity to give in such a way as giving the gift of grain really helps out on so many levels.
One of the things that's most enjoyable for us about working with Mankato Area Foundation is how well they understand our desires for our funds and the legacy we're trying to leave here in the Mankato community. And we know that in the future, our funds are in great hands, and they will continue to invest in the projects that are most important to us as a family.
I advise advisors to really sit down with that client and say, okay, so you've got a contract for certain bushels and you have to deliver 10 and you've got 11, donate the 11th.
Now that you have heard from these 3 awesome families, you can see that philanthropy is wildly different. And as you are getting to the end of the year and having these conversations with your clientele, I hope that you will feel comfortable reaching out to the Mankato Area Foundation so that we can help guide you and your clients through this process.